So we're here in Dunbar East Lothian. This bridge you're looking at here just in front of the camera is known locally as a bridge to nowhere. It goes across that little estuary, and when the tide is in, this path on the right hand side of the screen you're seeing completely disappears and it's completely covered in water. And as I say, it's known as a bridge to nowhere because it appears to be a bridge that goes nowhere, but it does actually cross that little estuary. So we're going to get a long exposure. Hope the sun would be out. It's sun's directly behind where, well, if it wasn't hidden in the sky, it would be directly behind us, but completely clouded over today. This is one of the few opportunities I've got to take some videos, so I'm going to take a little bit. I'm just having a wee look at a wee dog jumping about in the water down there, having the time of its life. And there's another one there barking because it's not getting its ball thrown. So yeah, we're going to go in there, we're going to do a long exposure, and let's see what goes. I'm going to be quite some distance away for the video. Hopefully the wind doesn't completely drown me out, but sometimes that's not a bad thing if it does. Well, today you've got me at Dunbar. We're going to go out and do a lot of other kind of videos today, but weather has not been kind. It's been quite windy, but I still had the urge to do some photos, so we've come to Dunbar, East Lothian in Scotland, and we're going to take a picture of this bridge. It's known as a bridge to nowhere. From where the video camera is positioned at the moment, it's on dry land. Generally that's covered over with water. This estuary, as the tide comes in, it fills up and it looks like the bridge is coming out of the water, crossing the water and going back into the water, but it's actually covered this little estuary that I'm standing in just now. So we're going to go for a long exposure, and it's still quite bright. To achieve that, we've got a 10 stop neutral density filter on, Heliopan 10 stop neutral density filter, and it really would make it pitch black. If I look through my viewfinder just now, it's absolutely pitch black. I can't see a thing. So to alleviate that, going into live view, and the reason I'm going to go for a 30-second exposure because we've got quite a breeze coming in this direction, and I'm hoping I'll catch up some of that cloud movement. I may or may not, but we'll go for that anyway. So my settings on the camera, unfortunately it's because I'm up to my knees almost in water here. Settings on the camera, I'll have to just shout out, and we can see them in post and bridge. So I've got 10 stop neutral density filter on at f10, and because there's quite dark areas, and because I've really zoomed out to the kind of max on my 17-40 lens, we're going to get a bit of vignetting. So to try and alleviate that, I'm going for one stop over. In fact, let's go down to f8. So we'll go f9. F9 gives me 2 full stops over, and it still doesn't look like the sky's too blown out with that. So we'll try and shield the wind off the camera, and we'll go for that. I've not got a shutter release with me. I've got on a 2-second timer, and I've got my horizon lined up pretty much in the top third. I'm not left much in the way of cropping, but that's fine. So we're going to go for the bit more on the top third, so we can go for the sky a little bit more. That's about right there. And the trick is get this as straight as you can in camera, and it'll save you a little bit in post. Now I'm going to pick up a little stick here, and I'm going to try and make a little bit movement in the water if I can. It may or may not work. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. That didn't work at all, so we'll forget the movement, just throw that in the water. And for this first one, it's going to be 30 seconds. As I say, I'm at f9, 10 stop Heliopan filter on, 30-second exposure. I've got the Canon it's a 17-40 f4 lens. I'm shooting just now at f9, of course, and I'm just going to have a quick look at that before I do anything else. Yep, and that looks fine. And I'm just going to take a couple of exposures just a little bit less time, maybe one stopover, and then 0 stopped. Because there's such a breeze, we're getting quite a lot of ripples on the water, and I'm hoping that will show up as some light and shadow. It may not though, because it is really flat and grey here. A little bit darkness in the clouds in the distance, but I was hoping we were maybe going to get some sunshine and we could light up the bridge a bit better, but not to be. And you've got to take your opportunities when you've got them. So one more, we'll go down to a nice even exposure, still at f9. This time it's only going to be 10 seconds. So we went 30 seconds, 15 seconds, this one's 10 seconds, and I may even go one stop lower, and that will give me just a bit more in the sky when we go into Photoshop. So we're nearly there. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Now it says one stop under, and as you'll see when we see this in bridge, the sky is really dark and dramatic looking now. Not as dark and dramatic in real life, I'm afraid. And we're almost done there. So that's it. I've taken 4 exposures, one a couple over, one over, one even, and one at -1 and exposure, and we'll see how that looks in post. So with the magic of video, let's look it up now in Photoshop. So we've got all our images here into Photoshop. Sorry about the noise here. I'm just going to open them all now into Camera Raw. And I'll take this one off the screen because I don't need that there. And as you can see, varying degrees of light and dark. And I'm going to adjust them all here just now. Now this one here's got too much highlight, so I'm just going to take a little bit of highlight away. But I'm definitely going to bump up the exposure to make it plus 1.5. This one here, again, I'm going to make it plus 1.5. This one here, plus 1.5. And the last one, yep, you guessed it, plus 1.5. So, looking at them all, the highlights are way down here. We've got some lightness here that we could keep. Let's see the highlights down in this one. And I think this is the one I'm going to work with. But I do like the sky in that one and that one. So, I'm just going to say done. And I'll just close this off the screen. And we'll go back in here and we're going to take the dark one and the second lightest one, and we're just going to go Tools, Photoshop, and load into Photoshop layers. So we want to keep the sky from this one, and we want to keep the brighter parts from this one. So double click on the blend diff, and we can click onto there so you only show the underlying layer 3 when it's darker. That's not any good. Try it for this side. And that's not very nice either, so it's good to try a couple of things. We're just going to put a little layer mask on here. And by putting a layer mask on it, I've now completely hidden this light layer. And we're only seeing the bottom here, it's the dark layer. Select the brush tool, and we're just going to paint away some holes into that mask. And we'll just be careful trying not to go too far over onto the surrounding bits, but we definitely want it in the water, so let's get a bigger, softer brush. We definitely want this lighter coloured water through and this lighter coloured bridge parapets. We're never going to make, we're just going to take all that all along the bottom half of this image. We've only got a 6% flow, so we can afford to go over it 3 or 4 times and get the lighter effect through. And yep, quite happy with that. So we'll go Control Alt Shift and E, and that'll give us a stamp visible layer. And we could now just discard these two bottom layers, but we're going to go into Photoshop, into Camera Raw, sorry. And in the Camera Raw section, we're going to try and get rid of this vignetting. I don't think we'll be able to, but we could try and lighten it a little bit. Nope, not going to be very good for that. And we don't get the option to do a lens correction now, which is a pity. But we'll come back to that in a moment. We're going to hit some clarity, and this will give us even more drama in the sky. Before doing that, I'm going to actually make another Control Alt Shift and E, and that's another one, and it just gives us one. If we don't like what we've done, we can undo it. I'm definitely going to do a bit more clarity in here for the sky, and we're just going to click OK with that just now. And on this one here, Control and J, I'm going to duplicate that layer. Turn this layer off just now. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go back into Camera Raw, and this time I'm going to go to the effects, and we're going to take the dehaze and take it that way, and that's adding to that nice kind of creamy look for the water. And we're just going to add a mask, and I'm just going to paint with black onto that mask and hide some of what we just did up here. Especially around this parapet. And all the land, we'll make sure that's all nice and clear, and a little bit of shadow as well, I suppose. Definitely all the sky. So we've got a nice dramatic sky now. And then when we turn this one on, we're going to do the almost exact opposite. We're going to put a mask on there, and we're going to hide the effect on the water, so we've only got the water through from the underlying layer. We'll just paint over here. Nice big soft brush. And there you go, there's no right or wrong on this, it's just exactly how much you like to see of it. And if we go back to this layer, and we can maybe turn this layer down just a little bit. And there you go. And do a last stamp visible layer, Control Alt Shift and E. Again, we could, many ways we could do this, but I'm going to go back into Camera Raw, and I'm just going to get a little bit warmth into here, yellow up a little bit, and maybe actually go into the curves and add some proper yellow in there. So you've got that kind of a little bit red in as well. And maybe just drop that down to about 70%, 60% even. There you go, that's it, all done. Another stamp visible, and you could do as many stamp visibles as you want. Just all of a sudden we've got a little bit too much highlight in the middle of this again. Click OK, and yep, that's better. There you go, that's how we do it. And one last thing we're going to do is straighten this layer. So just put that out a little bit, and we'll just go up to here and see where we're straight. Now, because of the wide angle with this lens, straighten it, I'm going to cut off the ends, but that's fine, it was just for a demonstration. And we'll just wait and finish doing what he's doing. But basically that's it. Long exposure in the water down at Dunbar East Lothian. and some HDR type post-processing in Photoshop. Thanks for watching, I'm Derek Mack.